This is a continuation of a series of videos where we're talking about rain screens and how the rain screen can be installed to protect the insulation on the outside of your shipping container building. Now, you may have already seen the video where it talks about what a rain screen is. If you haven't, be sure to click on this, put it on pause, and come back after you see this video about what a rain screen is and why it might be good for you to have that on your building. Now, assuming that you've already seen that video, there was also another video that talked about a pre-engineered aluminum track that's attached to the outside face, and then you could put your insulation in between in that track and then put siding or other kinds of material that is a siding or rain screen on the outside of that. Now, that was a really fancy and high dollar type of solution. Really impressive. You may have already seen that. Be sure to see that video as well. So you can compare. The other video that we talked about is using Insofast. And Insofast is a company that makes pre-cut rigid insulation, and we explored how that can be applied to the outside of the shipping container while being used behind another rain screen, a siding. So if you haven't seen that, click here and check that out so you can compare what we're going to talk about in this video. And in this video, we're going to talk about how a rain screen can be built with insulation on the outside and using metal hat channels in order to set the siding away from the insulation and away from the outside wall. Okay, like I was saying, I'm over here in a Home Depot, local one near my place, and I wanted to show you what a hat channel looks like, a metal hat channel. It looks like this. It's got a profile that looks like a hat. You know, it's got the brim and the top of the hat. It's about 2 5/8 of an inch in width, and it's about 7/8 of an inch in depth. And it's a galvanized metal, so it's made not to rust for a while. Although right at the edge where it is going to be cut, it's going to be vulnerable for rusting immediately. Here in Home Depot, they're selling these metal hat channels at 10-foot lengths. Let's go over to some drawings I did so we can study that a little bit closer. If you've seen the other video with the furring strips being wood, this is going to look really similar. In fact, it is just exactly the same layout, except instead of wood furring strips behind the wood siding, you're going to see those metal hat channels. So let's run through this quickly, and there's so much more that I talked about in the video with the wood blocking, talking about spacing and how materials are wasted because of certain spacing requirements. We won't repeat on this video. So in this picture, you're going to see the studs on the inside. These are 2x4s, and they're spaced at 16 inches on center, and it has batt insulation in between there. I do prefer to have spray-on insulation, closed cell that is, but in this example I'm showing a batt insulation on the inside. And then the blue is the corrugated metal of the shipping container. And then the brown is a series of wood furring strips that are glued up to the outside face of the shipping container. They are cut, they're chamfered, they're beveled, so they can fit inside those flutes. Those blockings, the wood blockings, are coplanar with the flutes. Then that board can be screwed into those blockings without any kind of gaps when it hits either the blocking or the blue flutes of the shipping container. And then the white is showing the 2-inch insulation, rigid insulation. And again, go see that video. That video talks about all kinds of R values that you can get. It's got a lot more information than what we'll repeat here. You'll see also the hat channels, and the hat channels are spaced where these wooden blockings are spaced in between the flutes. And those hat channels are holding the siding. Now the hat channels being used in this thing, it's just an example of what you can use. You can use metal hat channels inside, you can use it outside. And as I mentioned when I was in Home Depot on this video, it's galvanized. So galvanized is not going to rust very much for a while. It depends on the acidity of the atmosphere as well. But you are going to cut these hat channels. And wherever you cut them, the edge of those hat channels are not going to be galvanized. They're going to be raw metal, raw steel, and that steel will rust. So beware of that too. And because of that, this is not my favorite way of furring out for the outside, but I just needed to show you this so you can see all kinds of options you may want to consider in your shipping container. Now let's go to this one image here. This is the same image, and you're seeing these arrows, and that arrow shows how the moisture can pass in between these metal hat channels, but behind the Rainscreen, which is shown here as wood siding. So using a hat channel works pretty well, huh? Are there other ideas that you might have using a hat channel, different layerings and that sort of thing? Does it look like something that you would want to do on your shipping container? Leave a comment down below and be sure to subscribe, because we've got a few more ideas about how you can build a shipping container with insulation on the outside, and then that would be protected with a siding or a rain screen. Check it out. We'll see you on the next video.